definition of Uttama Bhakti. We will continue from there today. Before we begin, let us offer our prayers to Guru Parampara. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadavahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam
अभी गेट में
Krishna
जरूरी है क्या?
Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vacharam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinakarinam. My humble obeisances to all the devotees who have gathered here to study Srila Prabhupada's presentation of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that is the nectar of devotion. So all of you have very patiently persevered in this course, completed close to 2 years, I believe, yeah, and come to the last unit of this course, that is nectar of devotion. As we had studied in the very first day or the first session of this course, it is a presentation by one of the 6 Goswamis, that is Sri Rupa Goswami. We will offer prayers to Srila Rupa Goswami and in general 6 Goswamis by reciting this particular stanza from Shad Goswami Ashtakam. So we all can together recite it. Every time we gather for learning nectar of devotion, we will recite this prayer. Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipunau Sadharma Stapakau Lokanam Hitakarinau Tribhuvane Anyav Sharanakarau Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Namatarikau Vande Rupa Sanatana Jiva Gopala. In the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, nectar of devotion, originally Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, has a very special place. It is spoken originally by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sri Rupa Goswami at Prayag. For 10 days, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave these teachings. Later, it was expanded into Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Sri Rupa Goswami, because that was the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, in the preface of this work, which we had seen in the very first session, we saw the universal principle of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is to elevate a person from any material situation to the situation of Goswamis, to the highest situation. That is the principle of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not considering whether one is low or high in material considerations. We also saw the definition of rasa, the 2 categories, bhakti rasa, mundane rasa, their characteristics. Especially Prabhupada told about the purpose for which he is presenting this book, Nectar of Devotion. We had seen this. And in the introduction of this book, okay, here are some additional reference books, guide books to study along with this, one can refer to the original presentation of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, now translated into English by Srila Prabhupada's disciple, His Holiness Bhanuswami Maharaj. And also one can refer to several other guidebooks, Waves of Devotion and Subodhini series like this. So the Nectar of Devotion's introduction is the actual beginning of the book Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It had 3 parts. The actual description of the subject of the book, that is Vastu Nirdesh. Then there is Ashirvad, that is what one will gain as a blessing by reading this book. And of course, the third one is offering respects to the special personalities, especially Sanatana Goswami and all the devotees in that line. Rupa Goswami offers that. So we had seen that the important subject of Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, is Lord Krishna, who is specifically called as Akhila Rasamrita Murti. He is not described as Bhagavan alone, which we had seen in Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is told as Bhagavan, Bhagavan Uvacha. But in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, he is described as Akhila Rasamrita Murti. What does that mean? Any of you recollect? What does that mean? Any of you try to understand this? What does that mean?
Prabhuji, does that mean the source of all nectars? Like Akhil means the largest and eternal. Rasamrit, like the source, nectar. And Murti, like epitome of the nectar, the eternal nectar.
Yeah, very, very good. Yes, that is very close. To be exact, what it means is Lord Krishna is the personification of all rasas. The rasas described are Amrita. Amrita here, if you can remember, in the preface of this book we had learned, Amrita is a characteristic of Bhakti Rasa or spiritual rasa. So in the domain of Bhakti, the relationships or the mellows of relationship, the happiness one derives in the relationship are of multiple kinds. 12 of them, but 5 are primary. You may remember that. Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. So, but along with that, there are also secondary rasas. So Lord Krishna is described as that person who is the source of all these mellows of relationship, rasas. He perfectly reciprocates. He is the abode of all the rasa, and he perfectly reciprocates that rasa. We had seen in this regard one very famous, okay, I think I skipped that. One very famous incident of Lord Krishna's pastimes, wherein this was exhibited. This incident, pastime, is Lord Krishna entering the wrestling arena in Mathura. When he's entering, there was description of how different people saw him differently. There were people who were very ignorant. They saw him as a punisher. There were devotees who were in the parental mood. They saw him as their own beloved child. Kamsa saw him as the fear personified or the death personified. Mrityur bhojapate. So like this, there was elaborate description of how different people saw Krishna differently. That one person, they are seeing in different rasas. And Lord Krishna is perfectly reciprocating also in that rasas. So he is Akhila Rasamrita Murti, the abode, the highest form, the Murti of all the rasas. So this is how Krishna is described by Rupa Goswami. This is the highest description of Lord Krishna. And not just Bhagavan as having opulences, but as one who can reciprocate perfectly the rasas with different types of people. Yes. So we had seen this in the Mangalacharana, how Krishna is described. And then we also went on to see that this ocean of bhakti, nectar of devotion, which is describing that bhakti ocean, bhakti rasa amrita sindhu. Sindhu means ocean. And that ocean, there is a very nice comparison made, an analogy given. This ocean is so vast. And just like it happens with any ocean, there are many rivers which merge into the ocean. Similarly, different paths of spiritual progress, spiritual life, they all culminate, they all end in bhakti. This is one important part of the comparison. And in the ocean, there are innumerable variety of life forms. There are many, many aquatics, many types of vegetation, many types of jewels. Some of the aquatics which are found only in ocean are sharks. And the sharks are compared with, anyone remembers? The sharks are compared with what in the context?
Devotees.
Yes, devotees. So just like sharks can only be found in ocean, and sharks do not care to go into the rivers. They don't get tempted to go to the rivers. Similarly, can someone complete it? Similarly,
Or devotees do not care about the other spiritual paths.
They don't get attracted to the other spiritual paths. They deep down dive, into the ocean of devotional service, and they are happy. They do not care. That's the description exactly. And that's about the sharks. This example is important to be remembered. That's why I'm repeating it here. And sometimes in the ocean, in the middle of ocean, a very, very unique type of fire, that's a volcanic eruption, can happen. It's described in the scriptures. It's called as a Vadabanala. That's the fire in the deep ocean bed. So that fire, it appears to disturb the ocean, but it doesn't have effect because the ocean is so deep, it is so vast, and such kind of occasional eruptions of volcanoes, they cannot disturb the nature of ocean. And that's the prayer of Rupa Goswami. So please remember this analogy, very important, because it also clarifies about the position of devotees and devotional service. So Rupa Goswami states it in the very beginning. So ahead, we were also remembering that this I discussed in the last session, that the whole Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Grantha, the literature, the scripture, how is it composed? Just like an ocean, very vast. If we have to study different parts of the ocean, how it is made, the ocean is divided into 4 directions, called as Vibhagas. Purva Vibhag, eastern side, Dakshina Vibhag, southern, western, and northern. Like this, there are different sides of the ocean. And in each of the sides, that is 4 sides, there are waves which are called laharis. This is technically breaking down into different chapters here. So like this, one can see in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu scripture, there are 4 vibhagas, eastern, southern, western, and northern. And within the vibhagas, there are waves, laharis. There could be 4, 5, 7, 9, whatever it is, depends on the vibhaga. So in the Bhakti Shastri course, because Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is a very deep scientific explanation of devotional service. It's not a, it's a very serious study of Bhakti actually. So in the Bhakti Shastri course, we are limiting our discussions to 1 vibhaga, Purva Vibhaga, eastern side. It has 4 laharis within that, which totally make it to 19 chapters. And that is the eastern side. That's what we study as part of Bhakti Shastri course. But ahead, after completing the Bhakti Shastri course and a little more understanding from Srimad Bhagavatam, one can even enter into the higher vibhagas of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So Srila Prabhupada has translated the entire, has given the summary study of the entire scripture in this one book. It has all the 4 vibhagas. So the first vibhaga, which is Purva Vibhaga, it is describing the varieties of bhakti. It has 4 subdivisions. It's called Lahari or waves. Waves. So do not be tired with the classifications and technicalities, but it takes a little more attention because it is a breaking down of the bhakti to the minutest detail to appreciate it fully. So soon we will enter into the description of bhakti, the Samanya Bhakti and the Uttama Bhakti. So the 4 subdivisions, they actually make the whole 19 chapters, which we will study. So the first subdivision, which is called General Description of Pure Devotional Service, it is what is described in the introduction of this book and chapter 1. So we had studied Mangalacharan, and we also looked at Uttama Bhakti, the definition of Uttama Bhakti. In the last session, I'll just quickly revise some points, and I would like to hear from all of you about that. So this definition of pure devotional service is a very vital part of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's very fundamental, but it's very, very important. In fact, in this course, you will be asked to explain this definition of pure devotional service as given by Sri Rupa Goswami in this book. See, bhakti is defined in various ways, in various books, in various sampradayas also. But the definition given by Sri Rupa Goswami is so thorough. It is based on the definitions given in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Narada Pancharatra. He will quote it. But this one definition, which is based on this shloka, very famous shloka, we all should memorize this shloka also. This is so thorough. It's every word of it is so chosen, and it has deep explanation why it is so. Even 2 syllables also have very deep significance. So we had studied a little about this. We will try to understand it again, and then we'll proceed. So once can we recite this shloka together? The definition of Uttama Bhakti. Together we will do. Anya Bhilashita Someone kindly read the translation.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Danda Krishna,
Yes.
Prabhuji.
Pranam, please read.
Translation. When first-class devotional service develops, one must be devoid of all material desires, knowledge obtained by monastic philosophy, and fruitive action. The devotee must constantly serve Krishna favorably as Krishna desires.
As
Bhakti
Krishna
Rasamrita
desires.
Sindhu
1:1:1. 1:1:11.
quoted in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 19.167. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is originally spoken by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami. This definition itself comes in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So what is told is Bhaktir Uttama, the first class devotional service. Why first class devotional service is defined? Why not something below? Why not define bhakti from the preliminary stages? Those who were there in this last session should be
Prabhuji,
able
because
yes.
first class devotional service is known by one's
See, the description before of bhakti was that one which offers rasa. Is it not?
Yeah.
And 5 rasas were described. That rasa, the 5 primary rasas, can only be attained by uttama bhakti. There are bhaktis types described in Bhagavad Gita, right from Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is a type of bhakti. Jnana Yoga is a type of bhakti. Ashtanga Yoga, type of bhakti. Then, Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti, Guni Bhuta Bhakti, there are many varieties of them in Bhagavad Gita. It's described like that. They are all bhaktis. But what is described here is first class devotional service, Uttama Bhakti. The bhakti which is described in other literatures is can at max make a person transcend this world and enter spiritual world. But the bhakti which is described here, Uttama Bhakti, it helps one establish
one's
relationship with the
relationship.
Lord. This is very, very special. That's what is defined often as pure devotional service. And this pure devotional service is not that one can only attain it after, say, after one rises above this material world. No, it's not like that. One can practice this even at the sadhana stage, Uttama Bhakti. So that's why it's very, very important to understand this Uttama Bhakti so that we can attain what we desire as the utmost. We say every day in the morning that we want to achieve the highest goal. After reciting the 10 offenses, we say that, how do we say that? Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully guard against. Do we say that? Yes. All these offenses in order to quickly achieve. Yes, what do we say after that? In order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prem. Krishna Prem, that word is told actually. So the highest attainment one can attain, the highest Purushartha is Prema. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told it. It's not Bhakti, it's not surely Artha, Kama or Dharma. No. The highest attainment of one's advancement, the highest attainment is Prema. Prema Pumartho Mahan. And that Prema could be attained by rendering Bhakti in the Uttama fashion. That's why it is important. So what are the descriptions of Uttama Bhakti? So this one verse is broken down into several terms and we had seen it. Yes. So in your answer to the first question I had shown just before this, you have to explain the definition of pure devotional service with respect to the essential characteristic and marginal characteristic, Swarup and Tatastha Lakshan. Now these words may be itself puzzling. What are these? So I would like to hear from those who had learned it, or anyone who knows this can also answer. What is Swarupa Lakshana? Who remembers?
Swarupa was a primary characteristic.
Okay.
And Tatastha was a secondary characteristics.
Okay, what does that mean? It's
primary characteristics to have the pure devotional service, and secondary characteristics like establish the relationship with Krishna.
Both are important. Both are what help us to
the example you quoted on the day, Prabhu. Rama is a good student and he goes to school.
Yes. See, in defining anything for that matter, there are these 2 terms called as Mukhya and Gauna, Swarupa and Tatastha, primary and secondary. You can define it in many terms, essential, marginal, like that you can explain. What it means, a simple example, any student, say by name Lakshman, he is going to school. a boy by name Lakshman is going to school, and interestingly, he gets good marks. In fact, the highest marks in that class, and he is a topper. So he's a very good student, is it not? He's a very good student. If I say, yes, Lakshman is a good student. So what is the primary characteristic here? Student. First thing is he's student. How do we know that he's a student? He goes to school daily. That's what qualifies him as a student. First thing is he has to be student. Then you can say, yeah, he's a topper, or he's a first in the class, or like that. You can define it. So if we remove that characteristic, then that person cannot be called a student only, is it not? So what is it in Uttama Bhakti that defines Bhakti primarily? If this is not there, then you cannot say that activity has Bhakti only. That is so essential. That's why it's called Swarupa Lakshana. You cannot separate this from that object. I hope you're able to appreciate this. This is Swarupa Lakshana. You cannot separate it. Swarupa means it's inseparable, essential, essence of that. The next one is marginal. It is secondary. Okay, he's a student. There could be many students in the classroom. One of them is excelling all other because he scored very good marks. Yes. So he is called as a very good student, a topper student. Right? So these characteristics, they make the bhakti of superior nature. Right? So in the definition we saw earlier, there are some things which are so fundamental that if they are not there, we cannot say it as bhakti at all. What are they? What are they?
Cultivation of service, Anushilanam.
Anushilan. Yes, if one is not doing service, how can we call it as bhakti? Bhakti means service. Whether he is mixed service, whether it is a Mishra Bhakti or motivated, whatever, but there should be service, is it not? Service is what is fundamental. Anything more? What else is fundamental or essential in this definition?
Devoid of all material desires.
Okay, that's interesting. Devoid of material desires. Now, we are talking about Swarupa Lakshana, essential characteristics. Now, is Bhakti always has to be without material desires to be called as Bhakti? We are not talking about pure Bhakti here, just Bhakti.
No, Prabhuji.
No,
No.
Prabhu. Other one is
That is
Anukul.
Uttama categories description, is it not? So we are talking here something more fundamental.
Anukulana.
Krishna
Anukulana.
favorably. मतलब
So Krishna, it should be offered to Krishna. How can we say if service done to some demigod or some mundane cause as Bhakti, Desha Bhakti, Samaj, whatever people call as Bhakti, but that is not truly Bhakti in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That's not the description. Yeah. So it has to be service. It has to be towards Krishna. If any service is to someone else, then it cannot be called Bhakti. Then lastly, there is one more description.
Anushilanam.
Anushilanam. Anukulyan. I think Anushilanam is a service.
Anukulanam.
Anukulyan. It should be done in a favorable mood. Like there are people who render service to Krishna without intention of rendering service. One may not be intending to serve Krishna, but he happened to serve Krishna and please him. Any example?
Prabhuji, like
Coincidentally, incidentally, he happened to please Krishna.
Kamsa and
Kansa,
Yeah, Kamsa or some demons, they gave a very good fight to Krishna. Krishna was very happy. Kamsa, in one sense, he brought devotees of Mathura with Krishna. In one sense, Krishna gave happiness and Krishna became happy too. Trinavarta, he gave a very nice ride to Krishna, taking him up in the clouds. Krishna was very happy. Is it not? So these demons, because anything you've done in relationship to Krishna, Krishna is by nature happy person. He becomes happy. The Leela Shakti arranges it like that Krishna becomes happy. So that in itself cannot be called as bhakti. So say someone like Kamsa is always remembering Krishna. He's seeing everywhere Krishna. Hiranyakashipu also. Is it not? So like this, such people cannot be called as bhaktas because they are not in the mood of favorableness, anukulyena. So this is primary characteristic. That's what we are seeing here. So the essential characteristic or primary characteristics are three: anukulyena, Krishna, and anushilanam. And above this, if one has done these three, then he is doing bhakti. Now above this, if one is able to attain the other two, being free from material desires and not covered by this impersonal pursuit and material fruitive activities, such type of bhakti becomes uttama bhakti. Just like Lakshman is going to school every day, is student. Similarly, a person is rendering these three activities, anukulyena, Krishna, and anushilana. He is a bhakta. But if he excels all the students, Lakshmana, I'm talking about Lakshman, so then he is called as a topper. Similarly, someone who attains these two considerations, he is called Uttama Bhakta. So under each of them, we had seen a little. I'm worried that I'm repeating the whole class. Yeah. So what is Anukulyena? Yes, quickly, just here. Let's.
Anukulyena was to follow a bona fide spiritual master.
Anukulyena means to follow bona fide spiritual. Okay. Anything more?
There's a pravritti and
Basically,
nivritti.
to please Krishna in favorable mode.
In favorable mode. Someone who wants to please Krishna. The intention is to please Krishna. So one approaches Krishna with the intent to please him. That is that which is done for pleasing Krishna, not incidentally pleasing. And in that description, we saw Yashoda happened to displease Krishna. Krishna became very angry, crying. He's upset. He's tired. He's exhibiting displeasure, but actually he's happy because Yashoda wanted to please Krishna. And Damodar Leela, many Leelas we see. But demons externally pleased Krishna, but they did not intend to please Krishna. So they are not Anukulyena, right? So that is very important. And with respect to Krishna, when we say Krishna, Krishna includes, Krishna is always with his pure devotees, with his expansions. All the activities of pure bhakti can be intended towards expansions of Krishna, like Balaram, like Narasimha, Vamana, or even to the pure devotees, to the gurus. That Guru Bhakti is also coming in pure devotional service. So like this, Krishna and Anukulyena can be understood. Then there was Anushilanam. Anushilan means we cultivate it. We do some activity. We exhibit a behavior. Shila means behavior, right? Anushilana means we follow someone in that line, we exhibit our behavior. And we do that consistently. Anudin, anu means continuous. So Anushilana. And in this regard, we had also learned some more. Anyone quickly recollect?
Pravritti and nivritti.
Rupa and Bhavarupa.
Cheshtaru. Someone may be rendering these activities with spiritual emotions, which is called Bhavarupa, and without spiritual emotions at the sadhana stage, that's called Cheshtaru. And these activities could be positive, to gain something positive, or it could be to avoid something negative called as nivritti. So both are coming within this. Like one should not see bad in devotees. One should not commit aparadhas. The 10 offenses one should avoid. This is all nivritti. One should serve devotees. One should visit holy places. This is all pravritti. So like this, both positive and negative instructions are given, and they all are following in Anushilanam. So these three, let's repeat them. Krishna, Anukulyena,
Anushilan.
these three are primary characteristics, Swarupa Lakshana. And Tatastha Lakshana were two. First one,
Anyabhilashita.
Anabhalishita, Jnana
Anyabhilashita, Karmadhyanavritam. The first one is Anyabhilashita.
Punyam.
When one attains this, one is able to meet this criteria, that bhakti becomes Uttama. That's why it's Tapastha Lakshana. So Anyabhilashita, Anyabhilasha. It is not told all Abhilasha Shunya. It's told Anyabhilasha. That means in bhakti, one should have Abhilasha for serving Krishna. Any other Abhilasha, Abhilasha means desire, other than pleasing Krishna, is not entertained in Uttama Bhakti. Please remember, in Uttama Bhakti. So, Anyabhilasha, that means any other desire than to please Krishna. Then we also saw what is that Ita. You remember that? It could have been just Anyabhilasha Shunyam. Why Anyabhilashita Shunyam? Why that word Ita is used? There is deep significance for it. Ita. Like sometimes a devotee may occasionally call out to Krishna to protect, to seek protection in an emergency situation, like Draupadi, a great devotee, pure devotee of Lord. But when she was insulted in that Asat Sabha, she cried out to Lord Krishna. For what? Was that to please Krishna? Is she called as pure devotee? I hope all of you are able to understand this situation.
Yeah.
So she is calling out to Krishna to protect herself. It's a situation of emergency for self-preservation. Like in the case of Gajendra also, right? He also called out to the Lord. So such kind of desires are accommodated in pure devotional service. What kind of desires are not allowed are those desires which are deep-rooted as one's nature. If one has a desire, deep-rooted nature that he always wants something for himself, not for pleasure of Krishna, that is violating this condition. Yes. So it is very, very clear. That's why this word Ita, Ita means the deep nature of that person. Ita. So the desires for self-preservation do not exclude one from pure devotional service. Yes. So what was the next one? What's the next one?
Janma karma.
Jnana karmendra anavritam.
Jnana, karma, adi,
Adi anavritam.
Yes. You can break that down also. Anavrit. Avrit means to cover. Anavrit means to not let it covered. Bhakti should not get covered by jnana, karma, and so on. Adi means so on, like ityadi we say in local languages, right? Ityadi means etc. and so on, like that. So jnana, why jnana is told as not to cover the bhakti? Because that jnana which brings one the understanding that he is not different from the Supreme Lord. The oneness, the how do you say it? Kaivalya jnana, that kind of knowledge, which is Brahman realization, and that should not be covering or influencing bhakti. I was giving an example last time in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime. There are certain instances like this. We can see them. There was a devotee who came along with Raghunath Bhatta Goswami to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami was on the way to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was assisted by one devotee of Lord Ram. He was continuously chanting the name of Lord Ram. And Raghunath Bhatta Goswami thought, very nice, he's chanting always the name of Lord Ram, not different from Krishna. So, yeah, come, I will, help you get the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw this person, his name was Ramnath Vishwas, continuously chanting the name of Lord Ram. How did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu respond? Any of you know this? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
How did he
Last time
respond?
he didn't care much because his intention was to merge with the impersonal Brahman.
His intention was to become Lord Ram, which is then that Kaivalya Jnana. His intention was not to please, but to attain that oneness. So you see, he's externally doing a devotional activity, but that jnana has covered his bhakti, that Kaivalya Jnana. Here, the jnana doesn't mean here the knowledge about the Supreme Lord's qualities, pastimes, his nature, the knowledge about devotional service. That is not implied here as to be not allowed to influence bhakti. That is required. But specific type of knowledge which is breeding one is understanding that he is not different from Lord. He can merge or he can become one with the Lord. And similarly, karma also. The nitya naimittika karmas in the typical karma kandi life are for some material benefit, to gain some piety, to get some happiness in next life. They should not influence bhakti, uttama bhakti. And of course, vairagya, sankhya, yoga, these should not cover one's appreciation to bhakti. They have that influence, they have that power actually. So one should guard against them. So some type of jnana and karma are unfavorable. They have to be cautioned against. And some type of jnana and karma, which is anukula for bhakti, should be cultivated. So that's why it's anavrit and not shunya. So we had seen this so far. And we also saw one more definition of Uttama Bhakti given by Narada Pancharatra. Narada himself says this. This also is quoted by Rupa Goswami, and it has a very parallel meaning. It very much resonates with Rupa Goswami's description. So he quotes it to substantiate his explanation of your devotional service. So let us recite this. This is also one shloka that we should try to memorize. Let's do it together. Yeah. Sarvopadhi
vinimuktam tapta panvatvena nirmalam Hrishikesha sevanam bhaktir uchyate.
Read the translation. Mataji was reading. Continue. Or anyone else? Yeah, yes, please.
Bhakti or devotional service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master of all the senses. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, there are two side effects. One is freed from all material designations, and one's senses are purified simply by being employed in the service of the Lord.
Actually, here also one can locate the primary and secondary characteristics. Rishikena Sevanam, that is Anushilan. Is it not? Rishikesha, that is Krishna. Tat Paratvena, that is Anukulyena. Like this, primary characteristics can be paralleled. Similarly, secondary also can be, corresponded with the other definition. Sarvopadhi Vinirmuktam. Can you guess what it matches? Anyabhilashita. And Nirmalam, that is Jnana Karmadi Anavratam. Like that one can parallel it. It is also saying the same. So this was what we had seen last time. It's important section, so we took time to go over it again. If you want more details, please refer to the earlier class. And it is very important to note it because all further descriptions are founded on this. That's why. It's a very important description of Uttama Bhakti. So after defining pure devotional service, Rupa Goswami goes on to describe what are its lakshanas, characteristics, what does it give one as a result. When one performs pure devotional service, what all results manifest. So that is the chapter 1 in Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Devotion book. So let us go to that and read it. And if you have any comments or any questions, Hare Krishna.
No problem.
Prabhuji, this Anavratam I still not completely understood.
Okay.
So can you explain, like jnana we should know and karma we should do the activities, and Anavratam is not covered by these jnana and karma.
Yeah, it should not be covered to be called as Uttama Bhakti. See, jnana, when we say jnana, what kind of jnana is it in this
To
definition?
know the personal Brahman, or to know the Lord and relationship between Lord and us.
No. Here the knowledge which is described as, which is unfavorable, is that jnana which makes a jiva think he is one with the Lord.
Okay.
Is identical with the Lord. That's called as Kaivalya Jnana. Okay. Yeah. Yes, we are one, but one in quality.
Yes.
We can never become one in all terms, in quantity, like that. Otherwise, what is the meaning of service? If we are one, then what is the impetus to serve? The Lord is so great, so wonderful, and we are his eternal servants. This is the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first statement. Jivera Swarupahaya Krishnera Nityadas. Is it not? So eternally we are servants, eternally Lord is great. Is it not? So, but the Kaivalya Jnana, in which one understands that one is identical with the Lord, that Jnana, it should not influence the activities of bhakti.
Okay, Prabhuji.
And that karma, which is with the intention of gaining piety to enjoy this material world, that should not influence activities of bhakti. And that vairagya, which is with the distaste to this world, seeing the Lord's creation as something so inferior, such kind of vairagya, which is born out of disappointment, frustration, and wants relief, such kind of vairagya should not influence activities of bhakti. You understand? This kind of
Yes,
vairagya, this kind of jnana, this kind of karma, it is a very specific notion there. Okay.
Now I understood, Prabhuji.
Yeah. But on the other side, that jnana which is about the Supreme Lord's qualities, wonderful, that is bhakti. In fact, we are studying Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We are getting knowledge. This is wonderful. Is it not? Like that. Okay. Yeah.
Yes,
Good
Prabhuji.
question. Any else? Any other clarification? We are okay to spend time on any questions or any confusions to clarify. But please, if there is anything, you can ask it frankly, or if you're not convinced, you can question again. Okay. So after description of these characteristics, Rupa Goswami describes the results which manifest, which are also called as characteristics, the lakshanas of pure devotional service. They are 6 total. So here they are. In the book also it is mentioned. We will read that, but all of the 6 together are mentioned in this one shloka. So we will go to Srila Prabhupada's book and see that as it is. So Prabhupada titles the chapter number 1 in Nectar of Devotion as characteristics of pure devotional service. In the beginning of this chapter, Prabhupada also points out what Rupa Goswami defined as Uttama Bhakti is also explained in Srimad Bhagavatam by Lord Kapila Dev. And in his conversation, in his teachings to his mother Devahuti. that bhakti. What kind of bhakti is that? It is explained here. Can someone read this? Kapila is describing it to his mother. Read this.
Shall I read, Prabhuji?
Yeah, please.
My dear mother, those who are my pure devotees and who have no desire for material benefits or philosophical speculation have their minds so that engaged in my service that they are never interested in asking me for anything except to be engaged in that service. They do not even beg to live in my abode with me.
They do not have even desire to stay with me. They only and only want to serve me. Now, this is something very, very, very different. Usually people want to go to spiritual world and have that happiness of being with Lord. Certain types of muktis are like that. There are 5 types of muktis. Of course, one type, which is to merge in the Supreme Personality, that is not desired by any type of devotee. But the others, that is to go and live in Vaikuntha, live next to also share those opulences, to have similar form like Lord, to have similar opulences like Lord. They are, in one sense, in bhakti, it's allowed. But the Uttama bhakti, which is described, a person doesn't even care for these types of liberation. He only and only desires an opportunity to serve the Supreme Lord. This is the highest limit of devotional service. So that kind of bhakti is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, and now Rupa Goswami has defined that. Can you also read the highlighted part?
Yes, Prabhuji. A devotee what to speak of rejecting material sense gratification does not even want any of the 5 kind of liberation. He is satisfied simply by discharging loving service to the Lord. This is the characteristic of pure devotion.
This is the characteristic of first-class devotional service, the highest devotional service, pure devotion. And such kind of pure devotional service has 6 characteristics, 6 lakshanas, 6 characteristics. And these characteristics, it is described just like a flower is blossoming. In the beginning, you see, you can't make out many petals distinctly. Maybe you see 1 or 2 petals distinctly. As it grows a little, you can see 3, 4 of them. As it becomes fully blossomed, you can see all of those petals so beautifully blossomed. You can appreciate its beauty fully, is it not? So similarly, this pure devotional service, it has in its fully developed state, it has its 6 characteristics. What are they? Can you read 6 of them? 1, 2, 3, 4.
The 6 characteristics of pure devotional service. 1. Pure devotional service brings immediate relief from all kind of material distress. Pure devotional service is the beginning of all auspiciousness. Pure devotional service automatically puts one in transcendental pleasure. Pure devotional service is rarely achieved. Those in pure devotional service deride even the conception of liberation. Pure devotional service is the only means to attract Krishna.
These are the 6. So these 6 in the original scripture, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, they have Sanskrit terms. So being serious students of Nectar of Devotion, we should try to remember, at least know their meanings. What are they? The words are, like the first one said, brings immediate relief from all kinds of material distress. In Sanskrit, it's called Kleshagni. Kleshagni. Can you read the second one accordingly? Fully is the beginning. Yeah.
Is the beginning of all auspiciousness. Subhada.
Shubhada. Shubha. The highest Shubha, Shubha means auspicious. Very pleasing, very progressive, gives the highest benefit. That's the meaning of Shubha. Third one?
Automatically puts one in transcendental pleasure.
It puts in the highest pleasure. That is described in Sanskrit as Sandrananda Visheshatma. Sandra. Sandra means condensed. condensed happiness. The happiness like you have milk, which is sweet in its original taste, and you make it thickened, condense it. Then it becomes rabdi. Then it can become even peda. Is it not? So you are making it condensed and condensed and condensed. So in the Uttama Bhakti, the happiness one derives is most condensed. It's the highest happiness. Fourth one,
is rarely achieved.
rarely achieved. Rare means very, very difficult to attain. Rare. In Sanskrit, we use
Sudurlabha.
that word sudurlabh. Durlabh, sudurlabh. Very, very rare to attain. Fifth one,
Derides even the conception of liberation.
derides means it
Moksha,
puts down the liberation also. It makes liberation feel inferior. Moksha laghuta. Moksha ko wo laghu samjhega. Laghu means inferior. So moksha laghuta krit. It makes moksha felt as inferior. Sixth one,
is the only means to attract Krishna. Shri Krishna Akarshani.
it even makes one attract Krishna. How can Krishna, who is called as the most attractive, be attracted? That is by pure devotional service. So like this, there are 6 of them. And this chapter number 1, describes each of them. Okay. So these 6 together are manifesting in different stages of one's prema. So pure devotional service, one is rendering even in the sadhana stage. Of course, he renders in bhava stage and prema stage. Sometimes we understand that pure devotional service means that which is exhibited only in prema stage. But no, Rupa Goswami says even in sadhana stage, one can do pure devotional service. Last time I did discuss about it, that one can have aspirations. One can very sincerely render even if there are anarthas in his heart. And that kind of activity, pure devotional service, it can be called. So in the pure devotional service in sadhana stage, the first 2 characteristics are seen. What are they? Kleshagni and Shubhada. In bhava stage, the first 2 are seen. Along with that, 2 more are experienced. Moksha laghutakrit and sudurlabha. And in prema stage, one can experience all 4 before and then 2 more. So in total 6, all of them can be experienced in the prema stage. Okay. So when we are doing sadhana bhakti in the pure devotional service, executing pure devotional service, one can experience kleshagni and shubhada. So let's go one by one of them. Okay. So we will go to Srila Prabhupada's description of each of them and then we will proceed. Any of you have any comments or questions on this? So Prabhupada says it here, see, relief from material distress. Can you term it? Which is this characteristic? Which characteristic is this?
Anabhilashita.
First one.
Kleshagni. Anyabhilashita Shunya, all that was in introduction. Now here characteristic means the 6.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay. Am I audible? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. We just.
Okay. Some network lapse. Okay. So relief from material distress. This is the first characteristic, kleshagni. Let us read them. Description. So we will try to go with Prabhupada's words and we will also go back to some understanding in summary so that it helps us easy in understanding the subject matter. Please read. Minu Mataji, can you read? or someone else is there to read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, padiye. Yes, padiye. Please. In Bhagavad Gita, you can
Bhagavad
start.
Gita, the Lord says that one should surrender into Him, giving up all the other engagements. The Lord also gives His word there that He will protect surrendered souls from the reactions of all sinful activities. Srila Rupa Goswami says that the distresses from sinful activities are due both to the sins themselves and to sins committed in our past lives. Generally, one commits sinful activities due to ignorance, but ignorance is no excuse for evading the reaction. Sinful activities are of two kinds: those which are mature and those which are not mature. The sinful activities for which we are suffering at the present moment are called mature. The many sinful activities stored within us for which we have not yet suffered are considered immature.
Immature. Okay, just a pause here. So Prabhupada is talking about distress. Distress happens. Distress means any pain, any inconvenience, any kind of suffering we experience in one's life is due to sins. In this world, when we are living, it is practically unavoidable. The sins are practically unavoidable because in this world, one will be forced in one way or other to commit them. Sometimes we are walking across, we don't know how many small organisms we are causing trouble to, and some so small we can't even see. We are cooking in our homes, we are putting fire. We don't know what's happening to many jivas who are also around that cooking place. Is it not? Sometimes we are bathing, we are splashing water. So like this, there are many sins which sometimes in intention, sometimes without intention, they happen. Is it not? So due to which one in this world always is in distress. Because of performing sin, one is always in suffering or distress. And these sins are not just of this life. Prabhupada says here, sins committed even in our past lives. Very important. And fundamentally, why these sinful activities are happening? Because one is in what is called ignorance, avidya. Yeah. So there is ignorance, avidya, due to which a person has some desires connected to this world, material desire, and one acts in sinful manner. So these three are there. Avidya, ignorance, then there is desire. Sometimes it's called as bija, papa bija, the desire, material desire. Then there is
Reaction.
no, reaction comes after that. Because of desire, one will commit that act, right? That's
Yes.
sinful action. So sinful action. So these three are.
What is it, Prabhuji? After desire is action.
Yeah, one will act on that desire.
Yeah.
Action.
And then you get the sinful reaction.
Yeah, after that one gets reaction. I will show that in small depictive diagram. That will become more easy. So these three together make one experience distress. And the distress which one gets, that happens in different stages. Something he experiences immediately, something he experiences maybe after some years in this life, something he experiences in next life, something is stocked up. It's in a very big store, which can come in future lives. Like, so this is all a description and analysis made. So it is told that the distress which happens, it happens because of these three. Avidya, bija. Avidya leads to bija, that is desire. Papa bija, it's called specifically. And then that leads to sinful act. That leads to sinful act. So Prabhupada also told here, the activities which bear reactions immediately, those reactions of those activities, they are called as prarabdha. We hear this word, we use it very, very casually. Apna prarabdha tha wo, ऐसे बोल देते हैं हम, है कि नहीं? We use it very casually. But actually it has a very technical explanation, prarabdha. Something is called aprarabdha. That means it comes in future. There is prarabdha which we are experiencing currently, and something for future. It could be in future life, next life, or any number of lives after that. That is aprarabdha. It is not just this two category. In fact, the Shastras go on to describe many in the middle also. So there is a very important, interesting shloka Rupa Goswami mentions in this Kleshagni section, quoting that verse from Vishnu Puran. He says this shloka.
Prabhuji, previous slide once show Prabhuji, I am noting down.
Okay. What is mentioned here, I'm going to show that same in Prabhupada's purport also. It's there, the exact is there. Okay. But nonetheless, you can mention, no problem. So we are talking about Kleshagni. Why Kleshas first of all happen? Then after understanding all the different causes of Klesha, Klesh means, distress, suffering. Then how Bhakti addresses suffering at all those stages, like current suffering, the suffering which is going to come in future, in the future life, the very deep down desire or root of suffering, all that Bhakti is going to, attend to or destroy. So that is very systematically explained further. Yeah, some comments?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I'm asking that this suffering is because of avidya, right? And even after we become devotees and we do bhakti, the sufferings will not end till we have this material body.
We will see that. I will
Okay.
not comment now. We will see that. What happens when we start rendering bhakti, what's destroyed,
Okay.
what's in stock, all that is going to come for the next. Brahma Mataji, should we go ahead?
Yes, Prabhuji, completed.
Okay, so
Thank you,
I
Prabhuji.
was mentioning that there are further intermediate stages between prarabdha and aprarabdha. So prarabdha means what?
Presently, what we are getting the reactions is prarabdha.
Like, I have a deformed body. I have a mental abnormality. I am ugly. I am into some legal implication. Prabhupada says there are some 4 very clear indicators of prarabdha karma. One who is in disease, one who is in legal complications, one like that. It will come. We will see that very clearly now. So they are prarabdhas. Currently, right now,
this prarabdha comes from the past life, right, Prabhu?
it comes from past life, but that result of that past sin, I am experiencing now at this moment, that is called prarabdha.
This prarabdha and aprarabdha like a cycle, Prabhuji, rotating.
Not cycle. Aprarabdha only yields prarabdha. Aprarabdha is like a big stock. That's something tapak, it drops.
What we call, Prabhu, when whatever the sinful activity we did in this lifetime, but we'll also get the reaction in this life only.
Yeah. It's going to come. See,
Okay.
Immediate, like Prabhupada gives an example. Let's go to Prabhupada's words. It becomes clearer. I'm making things more unclear. Okay, so for example, Prabhupada says, see, when Prabhupada is telling mature means prarabdha. Mature. Like the fruit is mature, means it's now ready to eat. You eat it now. Like that, prarabdha. It's like papa phala, karma phala. Karma फल यूज करते हैं ना, that's the common term we use. फल अपने फलित कर्मों का प्रतिक्रिया जो भी है, we use that word. Mature means prarabdha. Immature means we have not yet suffered. See the word, we have not yet suffered. They are considered as immature. Like, for example, Prabhupada says, please read this. For example.
For example, a man may have committed criminal acts, but not yet been arrested for them. Now, as soon as he is detected, arrest is awaiting him. Similarly, for some of our sinful activities, we are awaiting distress in the future, and for others, which are mature, we are suffering at the present moment.
At the present moment. At this point, 7:45 p.m., I am experiencing some sufferings. That is prarabdha. Okay, so the point here is some activities we do for which reactions are coming in future. Like, say, suppose I stole someone's money. That person may catch me immediately and he may put me behind bars and I have to suffer. That is prarabdha. I somehow was, scot-free, I could not be detected, but sooner or later, police will catch me. It's going to come in immediate future. That's not mature yet. But even if police could not catch me in this life, someone always catches me now. The laws of nature are always observing. Paramatma is always seeing, is it not? All that accounting is happening. So for which we will experience reaction. That will come in future. Similarly, any sinful, say suppose someone does a wrong act, he smokes, he drinks, he commits violence. Something comes immediately, something comes in future. Right? So prarabdha, aprarabdha. But what we were talking is there are some intermediate stages also. See, why this is important to understand is because you will see that how bhakti destroys each of those stages. So one type of statement is to say bhakti destroys all sinful activities, all reactions. What all reactions? So that clarification, granularity is shown here. So in Vishnu Puran, there is a very famous, Padma Puran, there is a very famous verse which says all different stages of suffering or reactions. The first one is called aprarabdha. We saw that. Unmanifest, not mature. It's going to come in future. We cannot account how much it is because we have taken innumerable lives and innumerable sinful reactions are in stock. Okay. The second is called kuta. Can someone read the translation?
Reactions about to become karma bija.
Karma bija. Kuta is what is the stage which is going to yield bija. And that bija is something which is going to yield prarabdha. And that prarabdha we are experiencing currently. The two stages are intermediary stages. Okay, like bija is something I will experience in this life. Sometimes people can conjecture what sufferings may come in future by some understanding of time and by one's birth and this thing and all. How are they? They are actually seeing the bija that is there, which is going to come in future. And prarabdha is something which we experience immediately or currently. So the shloka of Padma Puran, it says aprarabdha phalam papam kutam bijam phalon mukham. All different stages of papa are mentioned here. And it says kramenaiva praliyeta. Gradually they are destroyed. By what? Vishnu Bhakti Rata Atmanam. By one who is engaged in bhakti to Lord Vishnu. Can someone read the translation here in the Padma Puran?
Can I continue, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
In the Padma Puran, it is said, for those engaged in bhakti to Vishnu, step by step, the aparadha, kuta, bija.
Aprarabdha.
Ha. And Kuta, Bija, and Prarabdha karmas are destroyed.
So it's very clearly told that Bhakti will destroy all these stages of reactions. Something which we are experiencing currently, something coming in this future of this life, something in next life, something which is our eternal stock because we're from long time we are there here. All that sanchit karma is destroyed. So Prabhupada describes that how it happens. Okay, so if we see earlier we saw that chart, avidya, bija, and papa. It led to what in that chart we saw? Remember that chart?
Suffering.
Suffering. And that suffering is in fact seen in more detail in these 4 stages. Did you get the connection?
Yeah.
Aprarabdha.
Uttam, karma, pisan, prarabdha. Yeah.
Then prarabdha. In that sequence we receive that suffering. It's just a time placement like that. Is this clear?
It's very difficult to differentiate between between those two, from the unmanifested to manifest. So it's like it's very a borderline difference between them.
Prabhuji,
That is the-
in Kutam, sinful reaction which are about to become bija means ki we are about to do that action, right?
No, we have already done. The action is done.
These
So
are
Prabhuji,
reactions.
if action is done, then we are going to
This is going to
experience.
inevitably come on us because the action was done here. Now, after that, we don't have control. I have to experience reaction, either in future life or now. It depends.
Then Prabhuji, how it is become beach?
So no, it is approaching of time. That's what I'm saying. So
So
that
that is fine. Like approaching the time, like we are going to get this sinful reaction.
So
and
it is termed differently at that time.
Okay.
Like that.
Prabhuji, it's just like we plant a tree in our house.
Very
And
good.
while planting a tree, we feel that our grandchildren or next generation feel it in the same way. Even this is also.
Nice connection, correlation. Yeah, we planted a seed, bija. It comes after several lives, and maybe in this generation or next generation.
Okay, you mean Prabhuji, like we did the act. Now, when we are going to get its fruit, that is upon is a matter of time only.
Some activities give immediately. Like say, suppose there is
Yes,
fire.
Prabhuji,
I put finger in the fire. I get immediate reaction.
Yes.
Some activities they give reactions little late.
Okay.
Like that.
Prabhuji, do we only have to bear the suffering, or the people related to us also have to bear the suffering?
Let's not bring that in now, because everyone has some responsibility. I believe you have remember that discussion in 13th chapter of Gita, who all are responsible in suffering, or who all responsible for actions. Purusha, Prakriti, and Jiva, Paramatma, that tripod we had learned long back. So everyone has their roles, but Jiva desires. That's why he is responsible for the reactions. So there could be other people who are participating in the activity. They are playing their part. So for that part, they will also bear reactions. They will bear reactions.
Whoever is party to that action.
Yeah.
I want to, Prabhuji, in 9th chapter, I remember there was a shloka in which Krishna says that the one who comes to bhakti can only come when his past sinful reactions are eradicated. Or
7th it was there. 7th, yeah.
7th chapter?
Last shloka, it's there.
Yeah. So does that mean like what stage we are in sadhana stage also, our past sinful reactions are eradicated?
I request you to read the nature of bhakti described there.
Okay.
It's very specific, Yesham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam. 728. When all the papas of that person are put to end, antagatam papam. Jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridha vrata.
Yeah.
I think you're referring to this in my
Yes, Prabhuji.
So
This shloka.
dridha vrata, steadily he practices. Okay, so that word steadily has a great significance. Okay, so let us go in this discussion ahead. It may spark a lot of questions, but let's go through this whole thing. We will again be able to reconcile. So this is the stages of how the sinful act happened. The three are the stages: avidya, bija, and papa. And how the reactions manifest. Four are the stages: aprarabdha, kuta, karma, bija, and prarabdha. All these are addressed by bhakti, and bhakti destroys each of them. The uttama bhakti destroys each of them. Okay? So the further description is about how bhakti acts. So Prabhupada will describe. In this way. So Prabhupada is now talking about still some more about sinful activity. Read this. In this way.
Can I read?
Prabhu was reading one Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Let him
Hare
continue.
Krishna.
After that, I'll again say, yeah.
Okay.
In this way, there is a chain of sinful activities and their
Concomitant
distresses, and the conditioned soul is suffering life after life due to these sins. He is suffering in the present life the results of sinful activities from his past life, and he is meanwhile creating for further suffering for his future life. Mature sinful activities and exhibited in one is suffering from some chronic diseases. If one is suffering from some legal implication, if one is born in low and degraded
family,
or if one is uneducated or very
ugly. See, very important. Each of them, Prabhupada has chosen specific words. So he says in the beginning, the sinful activities, they work like chain. When a person commits sin, he is in a kind of a cycle. He does a sinful activity, then the ignorance is fed in, avidya becomes increased, then further material desires come, further sinful activities he does. So like this, it's going in a chain, sinful activities. And the distresses also are reaping out like that. So Prabhupada is talking mature sinful activity. What does this mean technically?
Prarabdha.
Prarabdha, right? Prarabdha. So how do we know that there is some prarabdha happening in my life? There are some some indications Prabhupada is pointing here. Chronic disease. We don't know how much we are taking care of all considerations. Some disease for no reason, it's occurring actually. Sometimes very young child is also suffering. Sometimes some impairment has happened from birth only. It could be physical, mental. There could be many, many complexities. Some legal implications, some quarrel, some, mess in which we have fallen, and it's very difficult to come out of it. Or born in a low and degraded family. What does this mean? It means that where the family doesn't have those values of doing righteous activities. The activities of sin are like a normal lifestyle there. That's also an indication of prarabdha karma. And someone uneducated, ugly, these are all indicators of prarabdha karma.
My God.
So in some way or other, we are all in prarabdha karma. That's the word. There is nothing that we are proof of that, we are untouched by it.
Sometimes if you that means if you see that kind of sufferings you will, I mean, now after learning on this, you will know this is the reaction of their past sinful activities. Like you will definitely, everybody knows such kind of people in their lives, in their families.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, how do you can't
No.
hate those people
No, no,
just
yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good point you're bringing out. Better to clarify now. We should not try to see someone else out, suffering out because of some reason. See, this karma, what we are understanding here is not for what he might have done earlier, how he should be
Yeah.
treated. That's not the discussion here. That's not the direction of discussion.
Yeah.
In fact, karma is never described like that.
Yes.
It is never done for some post-mortem.
Mm.
Oh, now I'm suffering what I did in my, second life, third life, 3 lives before,
Not
that
ourselves,
description,
like we should
or
not,
maybe someone else also.
or
We should
someone
not
else
see an
also, yeah.
Surely we should not see like that for others, and even for one's own self. It's not a
Yes.
post-mortem analysis.
Yes.
It is for forward-looking.
Yeah.
How I can choose right now right actions to reap right results and take responsibility like that.
हरे कृष्णा
That's yes. Yes, bro.
अब वो इस हिसाब से अगर इसके बारे में अभी पढ़ने के बाद लग रहा है यानी ऑटोमेटिकली ध्यान बढ़ जाता है प्रभु कि हम लोग कौन से पोजीशन में हैं या हमारे साथ वाले कौन से पोजीशन में हैं एंड वी यूज्ड टू लाइक यानी अचानक एनालाइज करना शुरू करके फिर हम लोग उनको ज्ञान बांटना शुरू कर दें.
Yeah, one can see the very interesting thing is we have to make it till the end of this discussion. The end of discussion says the power of bhakti in destroying all these inauspicious. And that will truly inspire one to take oneself very strongly, bhakti, and also help others.
Yeah.
Help others.
I mean, by knowing this, at least we can suggest others that if they take on bhakti, these are their prarabdha, then they can get over these prarabdha.
Yes. Now onwards, the description is about destroying those stages of sufferings. Prabhupada will describe each of them. He will give proof for them from Shastras. Just see, here is the statement from Shastra. It says, Bija is destroyed, Avidya is destroyed, Prarabdha is destroyed. One quotation he will take and he will show that. Okay, Rupa Goswami is very brilliantly expounding all this. Okay, someone spoke, yeah?
Even Sudama also, he was born in a poor family, but after visiting Krishna, after meeting his friend, he became a rich person, Prabhuji, because of Krishna's mercy.
Yeah. But was it because of sin? I can't say. Okay. So there could be many reasons for it. So why someone is born in what fashion, what reason? That kind of analysis, Mataji, I am again saying it's very, very dicey. It's very risky to do it. It's for one's own understanding. Okay, I am experiencing this. Something I have done in past. Let me accept it. So to breed the acceptance. Yeah, I had done something wrong. I have to accept it and I have to reform. For this mentality, these descriptions are given. Okay, so we need not analyze in what situation one did what. Okay, let's proceed. I think we are losing the direction of discussion. Read this. There are many results. Now someone else can take up reading.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah.
Hey, Krishna Prabhu, I can read.
Yes, there are many.
There are many results of past sinful activities for which we are suffering at the present moment. And we may be suffering in the future due to our present sinful activities. But all of these reactions to sinful deeds can immediately be stopped if we take to Krishna consciousness.
So all of these reactions, Prabhupada has put that. And as evidence for this, so he starts quoting, right?
As evidence for this, Rupa Goswami quotes from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 14th chapter, verse number 19. This verse is in the connection with Lord Krishna instruction to Uddhava, where he says, "My dear Uddhava, devotional service unto me is just like a blazing fire, which can burn unto ashes, unlimited fuel supply to it." The purport is that the blazing fire can be burn any amount of fuel to ashes So devotional services to the Lord Krishna, Lord in Krishna consciousness can burn upon all the fuel of sinful activities.
So just a minute. We read this important evidence. You know? So originally, this sloka comes in Krishna's instructions to Uddhava called as Uddhava Gita. Like Bhagavad Gita, there is Uddhava Gita. Very, very philosophical section, very important to know. Note that. So there, Lord Krishna speaks to Uddhava. The shloka is mentioned here. What it says is, just as fire turns all the firewood into ashes, like suppose we want to cook something, we put fire, right? Using firewood, and the firewood is burning. Our intention is what? What's the intention of this activity?
Make the food.
To cook the food, correct. But in the course of doing this, the firewood turns into ashes, right? Similarly, when we do Uttama Bhakti, what is the intention?
Please, Lord.
Establish the relationship with Krishna.
Establish relationship with Krishna, serve Krishna, please Krishna, favorably, intentionally, and all that. And in the course of doing that, the firewood, which is compared to
sinful reactions.
Yeah, sinful reactions. Actually, aprarabdha karma it is compared to. Okay, that stage of reactions, they are turned into ashes. Our intention is not to burn ashes and burn the wood. No one cooks to make the wood into ashes. One cooks for making a bhoga for the Lord. Like that, without even one's intention, that happens. So Uddhava is told by Lord Krishna this important evidence. Okay, so this is one evidence. Then further Prabhupada describes further. Let's see them. Yeah, Sri Rupa Goswami quotes another verse from 3rd canto. Please read this. It's a Kapila's teachings.
Yeah,
My
Kapila,
dear Lord.
My dear Lord, there are 9 different kinds of devotional service. Beginning from hearing and chanting, anyone who hears about your pastimes, who chants about your glories, who offers you obeisances, who thinks of you and in the way executes any of the 9 kinds of devotional service, even if he is born in a family of dog eaters, the lowest grade of mankind, becomes immediately qualified to perform sacrifices.
See, very interesting. Please note, even if he is born in a family of dog eaters. You must have heard this shloka, very famous. In fact, this is told in the context of the glories of holy name. Just once, if he is able to, he has chanted the holy name, one on whose tongue the holy names is chanted, such a person, even if he is low born, like a Chandala, he is far higher than someone born in Brahmana family, but he is not chanting holy name. Have you heard this? So
Yes.
it's a very famous quote. It comes in Bhagavatam, Kapila. Yes, so Prabhupada is quoting this, and Rupa Goswami quotes this. So one who is, read this.
One who is engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotional service has, without doubt, become freed from all contaminations of material sinful activities. Devotional service, therefore, has the power to actually nullify all kinds of reaction to sinful deeds. A devotee is nevertheless always alert not to commit any sinful activities. This is a specific qualification as a devotee.
So that's a specific qualification. So Prabhupada also further says, even if a person who is born even in a family of dog eaters, because he is rendering devotional service, he is elevated to a situation of even able to perform yajnas. So the shloka exactly is in the section Aho bata shvapacho to gariyam. Even if he is a shvapacha, dog eater, shvapacha. But because he is yet jihvagre vartate namatubhyam. On his tongue, the nama, holy names of the Lord are uttered. Tepustapaste juhu shashnorarya brahmanuchurnama grananti vete. So, in fact, Kapila goes on to further say this very important citation. I mentioned, maybe we can read the translation of it. To say nothing, can you read this?
To say nothing of the spiritual advancement of person who sees the Lord Supreme Person face to face, even a person born in a family of dog eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if he once utters the holy name of Supreme Personality of Godhead, or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him.
Or means if he does this or this or this or this, chanting, remembering, seeing, offering obeisances like this. That's the power of bhakti. So what is told here? This person is born in a family of dog eater. Means what? That what type of reaction? We saw, no, 4 types of reactions are prarabdha. He has already gotten it, and he is experiencing it whole life. But the power of bhakti is such that even if one has gotten it, he can be aloof from its bad influence by the power of rendering of his bhakti activities. So bhakti can destroy prarabdha karma. What it means? I've already gotten a bad body, bad birth, or very deficit understanding or mind or all that. I can't change it. How can I change my birth? It happened already. My body, I have to live with it till the death. Is it not? So what it means when we say destroying prarabdha, how does bhakti destroy prarabdha karma? It means that all that bad influence due to that birth or due to that current situation I'm experiencing will not breed bad qualities. That influence will not happen on us. So how is it that Lord make a devotee suffer? This is an important question to understand. Like we are now we chanted holy name. Yes, even if sleeping or whatever, we chanted holy name. So it should be reaping the benefit like this. The prarabdha should be destroyed. So how could still sufferings come on me? Why are they coming? If Lord is so merciful, affectionate to the devotee, if you say that Lord takes charge of that life of the devotee, why is he letting the devotee suffer? Right? Why is he letting the devotee suffer? So this is explained like this. Read this. The father,
through affectionate to his sons, gives them austerity of studying by taking away their source of enjoyment. He knows that his action is sign of affection, though the son does not appreciate at that time.
So that we don't tread in the wrong path. So Krishna will give us suffering just so as to protect us, so that we don't become proud, we don't fall into sin. So such kind of, here is the thing. Can you read this, Supreme Lord?
Supreme Lord, the greatest benefactor of his devotees, purposefully inflicts suffering on his devotees just to increase their humility and yearning for him.
Yearning means deep desire. We want, no, Krishna, I am fed up with this world. I don't no more want this material world temptations. These are truly not fulfilling. I only and only want you and your association and your service. To become humble. The material nature thoroughly humbles a person, is it not? So, and develop that deep desire to attain Lord. For that, Lord gives some, affectionately he gives, like father gives to son. So, okay, you are explaining that the miseries which come in the life of devotee are affectionate expressions of Supreme Lord. But ultimately, I have to experience misery, na? Whether non-devotee or devotee, both are experiencing misery. How different it is? Someone may question like this. Are you all able to get this thread of thoughts?
Yes.
Rupa Goswami is actually going to explains these thoughts. So ultimately, how it matters whether you say Krishna gives me suffering or I am suffering because of my own sinful action. I am suffering ultimately. The experience is misery. So how different it is? Is it some different type of misery, or is the experience of misery different? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is different. How it is different? It's explained further. Can you read this?
Yeah. Bhakti destroys part of the karma.
Yeah.
As experience of happiness or suffering comes either from karma or directly from Lord is similar. What
distinguishes them?
Yeah.
What distinguishes? Either from karma I'm getting suffering, or okay, Supreme Lord has taken charge, has the ability to destroy, but yet he is giving me suffering for developing humility. Whatever. What distinguishes? So it's explained in these terms. So the suffering which arises out of karma, called karmic suffering. Suffering which is given by Lord out of affection for the devotee, to protect the devotee. That is the second column. Read them one parallel like this,
Yeah. Qualities of karmic suffering.
Yeah.
Even though experience of happiness and distress destroys the karma, the desire is not gone.
See, this is interesting. One may experience that reaction. Okay, I did some wrong act. I stole someone's possession, someone's jewelry. I got caught. I got punished. And then after that experience of reaction, am I reformed? No guarantee. Practically, sometimes it's not the case. But on the other side,
the suffering induced by Lord himself by his desire alone.
Not by Jiva's desire. There is no cyclic happening in the case of suffering given by Lord. It's not feeding into himself to, breed into a cyclic mess. It's by Lord's desire, and as soon as Lord desires, no, enough, then that's calm. Like an example is there. You have seen so many examples in this regard. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu once going in South India Yatra, and there was one very great devotee of Lord who had boils on his body, is leper, Vasudev, the leper, or Vasudev, yeah. And that's clearly, Prarabdha's indication we saw, right? Chronic disease, right? It seems that it's Prarabdha. So, but Lord desired, embraced. So, it's by Lord's desire that a devotee suffers. As soon as Lord's desire that no more suffering for him, he can't.
How to read Prabhu, for example, people like Prabhupada, the disciple who peace, they did not even come to devotion, but they got mercy without doing any devotion. Is it their Prarabdha karma or something else?
No. Getting devotion is never by karmic reasons.
Yes.
That is always a mercy of the devotee. We can never say, I was qualified to receive bhakti. No.
Okay.
It will come later, okay? This description is a question, is another thread. It will come little later. Let's go to the next one. Yeah. That desire
leads to more actions which lead to further happiness and distress.
In karmic suffering, the desires, they feed themselves and lead to further and further happiness and distress. In the second column,
that suffering lasts only as long as necessary for the Lord purpose and no longer.
It is fully on Lord's free will. Now, the third one is interesting.
The distress many times can even be extreme hellish suffering.
Extreme hellish suffering. But
because of the affection of the Lord for his devotee, the Lord does not give them extreme suffering.
The Lord, that suffering which is given to devotee is not like intense hellish. No. Okay, so some terms are there here. The last one also.
The suffering arising from karma and the Lord are like suffering arising from receiving a beating from an enemy and once for mother. Like one is like poison, other is like a nectar.
Yeah. See. Yeah. So affection it is for reformation. It's nectar when we see it properly. Okay. So there is further more description of, there was aprarabdha destruction. We saw that in that firewood burning ash. Remember that? Huh? There was that evidence. Then prarabdha destruction, we saw just now, few, how even if one is low born, he chants, he becomes immediately qualified above even Brahmana. He becomes so highly elevated. That is destruction of prarabdha. That was evidence. Now, another evidence Prabhupada gives, it is for destruction of bija. Read the translation. Although
one may neutralize the reactions of sinful life through austerity,
Yeah.
charity, vows, and other such methods,
Yeah.
these pious activities cannot be uproot the material desires in one's heart.
Hmm.
However, if one serves the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, he is immediately freed from all such contaminations.
Is immediately freed from all kinds of conditions. So this is destruction of bija, material desires. The word is mentioned. Okay. And what is left? Anything else left? One more is left. No? Remember the reaction stages?
Kutam.
Kutam. Or in fact, Kutam is actually very close to avidya only. It's going to come. Actually, aprarabdha and Kutam are together. So aprarabdha is destroyed means Kutam is destroyed. But much deeper is avidya, which is like the operating system itself is corrupt. You know, then it will breed in so many mal behavior. Is it not? You try to do this, it opens something else. It suddenly some window springs up. Unconsciously something else is running. So that is avidya. It's corrupt consciousness. And that is also destroyed by bhakti at the stage of bhava also. So this is a very famous quotation from Bhagavatam, which shows how bhakti destroys ignorance or avidya. Read the translation.
The devotees who are always engaged in the service of the toes of lotus feet of Lord can very easily overcome hard-knotted desires for fruitive activities.
Yeah.
Because this is very difficult, the non-devotees, the jnanis and the yogis, although trying to stop the waves of sense gratification, cannot do so. Therefore, you are advised to engage in the devotional service of Krishna, son of Vasudeva.
Vasudeva. So
This section,
the hard-knotted desire, this is avidya actually, hard-knotted, very, very difficult to even address that. It's hard-knotted. Karmashayam. So let's go to Prabhupada's description and we will point that out as we read ahead. So Prabhupada said that even one born in a family of dog eater becomes eligible to perform the yajnas. He is elevated to the highest situation in material world. That's the level of Brahmana. So a person, in this description we saw, as soon as a person becomes, he chants the holy name, he becomes fit to perform even the highest Vedic ceremonies. He is elevated to that stage. So Prabhupada also says that words which we saw, kutam, bijam, in English. Read this paragraph, it is stated.
It is stated in the Padma Purana that there are 4 kinds of effects due to sinful activities, which are listed as follows.
So these are that Padma Purana verse we saw, aprarabdha, kutam. So same thing, Prabhupada is paraphrased. Yes.
1, the effect which is not yet fructified or fructified. The effect which is
not yet fructified. What does this point to?
Aprabdha.
Aprarabdha. Very right. Perfect. Second one.
Mature. Yeah. The effect which is lying on as seed.
Bijam.
Actually, it's not bija, it's kuta. Kutam. Yes. Continue. Third one.
The effect which is already mature.
This is actually already mature. Means
Prarabdha.
Then fourth one.
The effect which is almost mature.
Almost mature. It's going to become mature. What is that?
Bijam.
Bija. Okay. So do not get deceived by the word seed and say bija. The bija actually happens just before maturity. Okay. So yeah, it is also stated.
It is also stated that all these 4 effects become immediately vanquished for those who surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, and become engaged in his devotional service in full Krishna consciousness.
So all this can be destroyed by Uttama Bhakti. So Prabhupada goes on to describe. So from the statement of Padma Purana, it is understood that the material conditions are very subtle. Contamination is very subtle. It begins, then there is, actual fruit, the results, all this actually a part of great chain. It's an endless chain. We say that the cycle of fruitive activity, birth and death, we say, right? All that. It actually is what? It's karma bandhana. That word is used. So it's a bandhana, karmic cycle. So it takes time. So how it is happening? Prabhupada gives a simple analogy for this. Let us read this. When one catches, read this.
When one catches some disease, it is often very difficult to ascertain the cause of the disease, where it is originated and how it is maturing. The suffering of a disease, however, does not appear all of a sudden. It actually takes time. And it is in a medical field, for precaution's sake, the doctor injects a vaccination to prevent the growing of the contamination. The practical injection to stop all this fructification of the seeds of the sinful activities is simply engagement in Krishna consciousness.
Say, suppose I have developed a blood contamination, due to which I develop different symptoms. They are all reactions which manifest. But deep down, what is happening? The blood is contaminated. And that is maturing into some other complication. And so many things are happening. So all these stages have to be addressed, including the root cause of that contamination. Is it not? So Prabhupada is saying it's very difficult to ascertain the cause, but the vaccine should actually address that cause. So Prabhupada now gives some quotations, some citations. He quotes this case of Ajamila. You all must have heard this, read this description in a book called Second Chance by Prabhupada. Yeah. So Ajamila, very dutifully following a civilized, pious life in Vedic culture, but because of some lapse, he ended up leading a sinful life. Yes, there it is described that Shukdev Goswami says this. Read this. Shukdev points. Yeah.
Deva points out that austerity, charity, and performance of ritualistic ceremonies for counteracting sinful activities are recommended process, but that by performing them, one cannot remove the sinful desire seed from the heart.
One cannot remove the desire. One may externally stop the activity, but deep inside the desire is lurking. It will come out in a action form.
As was the case with Ajamila and Yudhishthira.
Correct. What was the other example? You told Ajamila and? Okay, maybe I wrongly heard it. Okay, there are many examples like that. So Ajamila, in the beginning, he tried to stop that sinful activity by some deliberation, by coming back to home and trying to restrain himself, but it was not possible. But when he chanted the Mahamantra, when we chanted the name of Lord Narayana, it was actually that deep down purification happened. And later he got association of devotees, knowledge, and further he became elevated. So, in other words, unless one adopts the path of devotional service, one cannot be 100% clean. Sometimes we see these pariharas, have you heard this? Remedies, by which these sinful reactions are adjusted, postponed, taken in different forms, and some say you can nullify them, this, that, and all. But that cannot award one a full solution to the misery. So one can temporarily gain some freedom, some adjustment, but next moment it will again arise. Prabhupada gives the very famous example in Nectar of Instruction he had given. A person suffering from venereal disease because of indulging in illicit sexual activities. He may see, I experienced that disease symptoms, very painful. He may undergo treatment, but because deep down there is desire, which will force him to that activity again, he will again fall into that predicament. Prabhupada is giving this. You may remember in Nectar of Instruction also, he says this. Sometimes you have heard also the elephant bath, that analogy. So Prabhupada says that also. So the ritualistic performance, charity, all that, they may help, but how long? Temporarily. They are advised, but it is temporary. As long as the heart is not clear, one will have to do it again. And Prabhupada, remember that example he quotes here. Elephant enters into lake, takes a bath, and again he throws dust over his body. In Ajamila's instance, this was quoted actually there. So unless a person is trained in devotional service, one cannot elevate himself to
Yeah.
purity.
It was in the first chapter that no atonement is of any use.
Yes.
Yeah.
The very first one itself, I think it was mentioned there. Yeah.
Parikshit Maharaj is telling.
Correct. So there was also a verse we saw about fourth canto verse about how Bhakti destroys avidya. You remember that? So here Prabhupada is quoting that 22nd chapter, verse 39. He says, the false ego of a human being is so strong, it's tied up by strong rope. Only devotees can cut off the knot of this strong rope by engaging in Krishna consciousness. This is destruction of avidya. You saw that in the proof. So Prabhupada describes this avidya is actually the root cause. Karma shaya. So one should actually rectify it at that level. And that will actually be an ultimate solution. Yeah. So very interestingly, Prabhupada gives a very simple analogy here. Maybe we can read from here. This ignorance. Can you read from here? You can read fully. Continue reading.
This ignorance of factual knowledge can also be dissipated by Krishna consciousness. As is
Continue.
As is confirmed in the Padma Purana as follows. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness is the highest in enlightenment. And when such enlightenment is there, it's just like blazing forest fire, killing all the inauspicious snakes of desire.
Snakes of desire. See, there is forest fire. And forest fire, actually, there are many animals which are affected by forest fire. Some animals, they run away. But some animals can't run away because the ground is blazing. Where can they run away? The whole forest is in fire. What is the forest fire compared to?
The material desires.
No. The forest fire is compared to Krishna consciousness. And some, especially snakes, are told. See, the desires are compared to the snakes. They are lurking inside. They are so slithery. They can erupt and cause havoc, like that. But such snakes, they don't have any respite when the whole ground is on fire. Birds may fly away. Someone may dive into some other place, run fast. But snakes, they are burnt. So Prabhupada says this, the blazing fire kills all the snakes in the forest. Similarly, the blazing fire of Krishna consciousness is so strong. What are the snakes compared to?
Ignorance.
But
Desires.
desires.
Sinful desires or ignorance. They are immediately killed. It's an important analogy for your assessments also. So please note that. Maybe we can continue that reading. The example is given. Continue. This is actually the last part. We will end with this reading.
Example is being given in the connection that when there is a forest fire, that extensive blazing automatically kills all the snakes in the forest. There are many snakes on the ground of the forest, and when a fire takes place, it burns and dried foliage, and the snakes are immediately attacked. Animals who have got 4 legs can flee from the fire, or can at least try to flee, but the snakes are immediately killed. Similarly, the blazing fire of Krishna consciousness is so strong that snakes of ignorance are immediately killed.
So there cannot be any cause of suffering left, which is not in the control of devotional service. So we saw today the first characteristic of pure devotional service. What is that? Klesha. Klesha means suffering. Gna means to destroy. Gna, so klesha gni, it destroys all distress or and this happens at the sadhana bhakti stage itself. And we saw that how kleshas actually, what are the causes for kleshas? Avidya, the bija, and the papa. And the reactions which come out of that papa are 4 in stages. Remember?
Prarabdha, Kutam,
Uttaha,
Karma Bijam, and Prarabdha.
Prarabdha.
And all this, and including the original deep root cause of the action, that is
Is
avidya, all
ignorance.
are destroyed by bhakti. For that, evidences Prabhupada. We saw some important analogies. The analogy of the fire and the snakes of the ignorance. Okay, yeah, it is little intensive, nectar of devotion. We may think, oh, this must be the most. Yeah, it is true. It is nectarian as we go ahead in the description of Bhakti Angas, but it is a very detailed study. So it requires little patience. I very much appreciate all of you taking time, and I also request that please try to come in your best attention possible. I understand it's the end of your working day, but try to as best as possible. So we saw today Kleshagni, and further characteristics we will see in further. So this was the biggest discussion. Rest are small and they go quicker. So we end here for today. Thank you very much. If you have any of you have any questions or comments, most welcome. We will take if there are any. Otherwise, we will conclude the session.
Very interesting, Prabhuji, and very useful for us.
Yeah, it's very, very helpful.
So much to absorb, Prabhuji. I don't know. It's so vast.
Wide and deep both.
Yes.
Shri Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Of devotion ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We will meet on
Friday.
Friday. Thank you. Try to answer that open book question. It's already out. I know that you are in the process or just submitted.
In the process of BG3, Prabhuji.
You can start writing the next one. Nothing is
Lighting
stopping you.
BJ3, Prabhu. One book for BJ3.
I am just telling what is ready for you. You can choose when to write. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Anyway, no pressures, no anxieties. Bhakti destroys all misery, is it not? Why to add another misery? Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat pranam, Prabhuji.
Then